Have you ever sat across from a woman, sharing a laugh, a drink, a moment, and felt like something deeper was happening beneath the surface, but couldn't quite name it? Maybe it was the way she looked at you, too long to be polite, too soft to be indifferent, or how her body angled toward yours even when the room had space. And yet, despite every fiber of your body telling you something was there, your mind second-guessed. You hesitated. You told yourself, she's just being nice. And then, just like that, the moment passed, and you were left with that haunting question. Did I miss something real? You see, most men aren't blind. We're just afraid to trust what we feel. Society tells us to play it safe, to not assume, to wait for signs, clear signs. But no one teaches us how to read those signs. We're handed rules, but not awareness. We're told, be respectful, but never shown how desire and respect can coexist. And that's what this video is about. Not games, not manipulation, but clarity. Because here's the truth. When a woman is truly interested in you, not just emotionally, but physically, she speaks a second language. One made of glances, proximity, laughter that lingers, and silence that thickens with tension. And if you can't understand it, you'll miss what could have changed everything. Stoic philosophy teaches us to observe life without illusion, to act not from impulse, but from awareness. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If someone can show me I'm wrong, I'll be grateful. I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone." This applies here, too. The truth is, intimacy doesn't shout. It whispers. And only a quiet, grounded man can hear it. So today, we'll break down 6 subtle, yet powerful signs that she's not just into you. She's open to something more. Something raw, honest, and real. And more importantly, we'll do it from a place of respect, self-possession, and discernment. If you've ever doubted yourself in moments like these, or walked away wondering what you missed, this video is for you. Welcome to Stoic Now. If you find value in this kind of grounded clarity, go ahead and like the video, subscribe for more, and stay present. What's coming next could shift how you see every connection going forward. Let's begin. Number 1, prolonged and suggestive eye contact. There's a language more ancient than speech. It existed long before poetry, before scripture, before even written law. It's the way a pair of eyes can arrest your breath, pull you in like a tide you never saw coming. You'll know it when it happens. She won't say anything special. She won't lean in and whisper something obvious. Instead, she'll simply look. And that look, it lingers. Not the casual glance you give a stranger at the grocery store. Not the polite eye contact we're all taught to give during conversation. No, this is different. This is slow, intentional. A moment stretched just long enough to say, "I see you." And when she looks away, she doesn't do it with indifference. She looks down, perhaps smiles softly, or runs her fingers through her hair like something inside her just stirred. It's not just what she does. It's how your body feels when she does it. Your chest tightens. Time slows. For that brief pause in the universe, you're no longer thinking about what to say next. You're not performing, not chasing, not analyzing. You're simply locked in that magnetic pull, her eyes asking a question you're not sure you're ready to answer. This is what we call eye seduction. And while it may sound poetic, it's rooted in biological truth. According to a study from Harvard in 2009, prolonged mutual eye contact releases phenylethylamine, a chemical associated with infatuation and sexual attraction. It's the same neurochemical that makes your heart race when you're falling in love. When a woman is interested in you sexually, her gaze softens, but it sharpens too. It's precise, but gentle. She'll glance down to your mouth while you're talking. She'll look into your eyes longer than necessary, not out of politeness, but from desire. And if you meet that gaze with calm confidence, you'll feel a charge. Not the kind you force, the kind that just is. But here's the danger most men fall into. They dismiss it. We're conditioned to second-guess ourselves. We tell ourselves, she's just being nice, or she's probably like this with everyone. And so we talk over the moment. We change the subject. We break eye contact to avoid misreading the room. But in doing so, we interrupt a conversation that didn't need words. A stoic man doesn't just listen with his ears. He listens with his awareness. He observes not to control, but to understand. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look." This applies not just within, but also outward, in how we notice the world around us, how we catch what others miss, how we recognize when something subtle but sacred is being offered. When her eyes linger, she's not just seeing you. She's imagining possibilities. She's creating safety with her gaze, signaling I'm open. Are you? Sometimes it's in a quiet room when no one else is around. Sometimes it's in a crowded place where the noise fades into background static. Sometimes it's after a joke you just told, when you're not even looking at her, but she's watching you. And when your eyes finally meet, something in her says, don't look away just yet. And what do you do in that moment? You don't flinch. You don't smirk. You don't pretend not to notice. You hold the gaze, not with arrogance, but with grounded presence. You let her know without words that you feel it too, that you're not rushing, that you're not needy, that you see her, not just her beauty, but her presence. This is the space where intimacy begins, not in a bedroom, not in a text message, but in a glance exchange between two people who feel something unsaid. You don't need to immediately act on it. This isn't about pouncing. It's about being attuned, being patient. A stoic man isn't reactive. He's responsive. He doesn't chase the moment. He meets it fully when it's right. And the first sign that a woman may want something more is often in the way she looks at you when she thinks you're not looking, or when she holds your gaze just long enough to let the silence say something she isn't ready to speak out loud. So the next time you're sitting with her, whether it's on a couch, across a dinner table, or beneath the dim lights of a bar, don't just listen to what she's saying. Watch her eyes. And if they soften when you speak, if they follow your mouth as you form your words, if they lock into yours like they've found home for a second too long, don't be afraid to hold the gaze. Because in that space, between thought and word, between glance and breath, is the first doorway to connection. And if you can meet her there, not with neediness, not with assumption, but with quiet confidence, then you've already begun the conversation that truly matters. Not every look means something, but when it does, you'll know. Number 2, she finds ways to be alone with you. Not all invitations come with words. Sometimes they come in the form of moments. Moments she gently crafts out of nothing, just to be alone with you. No fanfare, no big announcements, just a subtle shift in the space around you, where suddenly it's just the two of you, and something begins to change. This is how you know she's inviting you deeper. She engineers the silence. She won't outright say, I want to be alone with you. That would make it obvious, and desire rarely likes being obvious. It prefers to slip in through side doors. She'll mention she needs help with something. Maybe it's her car, her bookshelf, her phone charger that mysteriously isn't working. Or maybe you're already out together with friends, and somehow you end up outside on the balcony, just the two of you. She lights a candle, opens a bottle of wine. The air thickens, and still, nothing has been said. But here's what has happened. She's created opportunity. A safe space for closeness to bloom. And if you blink, you'll miss it. This is not a coincidence. Women who are interested in more than just friendship, more than just surface-level rapport, create private moments where intimacy can unfold. Because desire, at its core, is both bold and shy. It wants to be seen, but not exposed. It wants to be pursued, but only by a man who understands how to move slowly, intentionally, respectfully. You see, Stoic men don't rush to conclusions. They observe. They understand the terrain before taking a step. As Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." And true bravery in relationships means staying still long enough to see clearly, without grabbing, without pushing. Just presence, awareness, stillness. When she invites you into her space, especially under the pretense of something ordinary, a drink, a favor, an errand, it's not the task that matters. It's the environment. She's inviting you into her personal world, into her comfort zone, into the places she doesn't let everyone in. And how you respond tells her everything she needs to know. If you act awkward, overly eager, or hyperlogical, wait, why are we going to your place for tea at midnight? You break the spell. You bring floodlights into a moment that was designed to feel like candlelight. But if you remain grounded, subtle, open, not pushing, not assuming, but attuned, then the moment deepens. Because to a woman, emotional safety is the bridge to physical openness. She needs to feel not just attracted, but understood. Not just heard, but felt. Think back. Has she ever lingered after the group left? Did she ask for just one more episode on the couch? Did she walk you to the door and then stand there, waiting? That wasn't just politeness. That was a test. A whisper. Do you feel what I feel? Are you capable of sensing the unspoken? And here's where most men fail, not because they're bad men, but because they're too in their heads. They wait for words. They wait for certainty. But intimacy doesn't arrive with a sign. It arrives with tension, space, stillness. A woman may not be ready to confess what she wants, but she'll absolutely create the setting for it, because she wants to see how you show up when the curtain lifts. And sometimes, the test isn't whether you move forward. It's whether you move forward with grace. Because being alone together doesn't automatically mean she's ready. It means she's considering. And how you handle those moments, how you carry yourself when the rest of the world fades, is what tells her if she should trust you with more. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Apply this in those quiet, intimate spaces. Listen, not just to her words, but to the atmosphere. Does her tone soften? Is her body angled toward you? Does she touch her neck or fidget with her hands? Does her laughter slow down, get quieter, more personal? These are signals. Not promises, but signals. And if you're wise enough to read them, to stay calm when it counts, to honor the sacred nature of intimacy rather than charge at it like a prize, you will unlock a depth that few men ever reach. So when she creates space for just the 2 of you, recognize it for what it is. A gentle opening, a test of your presence, a doorway you are not entitled to, but invited through. Don't assume. Don't analyze. Don't turn it into a game. Just notice. Breathe. Stay grounded. And if the moment ripens, meet it with the kind of steady energy that says, "I'm not here to conquer. I'm here to connect." Because when she trusts you enough to be alone with you, she's not asking for noise. She's asking for presence. And that, more than anything, is where true intimacy begins. Number 3, physical touch that lingers or escalates. Some truths are too delicate for speech, too intimate to name aloud. So they travel a different path, through fingers grazing skin, through the distance that disappears between 2 people without explanation, through the kind of touch that lingers just a second longer than it should. It doesn't matter how bold or shy she is. When a woman is drawn to you on a deeper, more intimate level, her body will begin to move before her mind has fully caught up. She'll find small reasons to reach for you, to rest her hand on your arm, to laugh and playfully shove you, to fix your collar, to squeeze your shoulder for no apparent reason. And you'll feel it. That spark, that unspoken sentence her touch is trying to say, "I trust you. I like being close to you. I want to feel you." We often think of touch as the final act. But for many women, it's the beginning. It's her way of testing energy, seeing how it feels to be near you, without needing to say anything at all. And when that touch is subtle but intentional, when it carries a softness that draws you in instead of pushing you away, you're witnessing something powerful, her body revealing what her voice is still afraid to name. But make no mistake, there is a world of difference between casual contact and sensual curiosity. A casual touch is brief, friendly, almost dismissive. It comes and goes without weight. But when she's interested, truly interested, her touch lingers. It communicates. It says, "I'm aware of your presence. I'm comfortable with you entering my physical space. And I'm not afraid of where this might go." Here's how you can tell. She touches you without needing to. She initiates it, without prompting or context. And when she does, she doesn't recoil. She rests. She remains. Maybe it's during a story she's telling, and her hand finds your knee. Maybe it's the way her fingers trail along your forearm as you laugh. Or maybe it's in that quiet moment at the end of the evening, where she hugs you just a little tighter and doesn't let go right away. This isn't performance. This isn't manipulation. It's instinct. Biologically, touch is how we regulate intimacy. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, is released through physical contact. According to research from the University of Zurich, even light touch activates emotional centers in the brain that reinforce trust, warmth, and yes, sexual openness. That's why her touch matters more than her compliments. Because words can be polite, eye contact can be playful, but touch is primal. It bypasses filters. It reveals comfort, attraction, and anticipation, all without needing permission from the conscious mind. But here's where the Stoic man must remain vigilant. Do not mistake access for entitlement. Just because she touches you doesn't mean she's ready. But it does mean she feels safe enough to let down the armor a little. And that's not a signal to push, it's an opportunity to stay attuned. Seneca reminds us, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." And in moments of growing intimacy, the adversity is internal. It's the challenge of restraint, of being still when your body wants more, of listening to the quiet hum of connection rather than rushing toward gratification. The immature man sees touch as a green light. The grounded man sees it as a moment to earn deeper trust. So when she touches you, how do you respond? Do you freeze up? Do you act like it didn't happen? Do you laugh nervously and break the moment? Or do you breathe into it? Do you stay calm, steady, receptive, not in a way that invades, but in a way that honors the vulnerability she just showed you? Sometimes, your response is more important than the touch itself. If you remain present, if you don't flinch, don't fumble, don't force, you show her something rare, that you're not just aware of her signals, you're worthy of receiving them. You can handle intimacy without turning it into pressure. You can enjoy the moment without needing to escalate it. You can hold tension without needing to relieve it. And this, paradoxically, is what makes her want you more. Because you're not chasing her touch, you're respecting it. You're not obsessed with the destination, you're present in the journey. And that's what builds anticipation. That's what creates real chemistry. That's what sets you apart from every other man who got too eager, too fast, too soon. So the next time she reaches out, playfully, subtly, quietly, don't rush to interpret. Don't label it. Don't run from it. Just feel it. Let her fingers rest on your wrist. Let her brush her leg against yours. Let her lean into you without needing to explain why. Because when she touches you in a way that doesn't ask for attention, but gives it freely, she's telling you something sacred. She feels safe. She feels drawn. She wants to see what it feels like to be even closer. And you? You don't need to do anything flashy. Just be there. Be calm. Be solid. Be still. Because the man who can hold that stillness, who can meet her desire with quiet strength and patient presence, is the man she remembers when the night is over. The one she thinks about when she's alone. The one who doesn't need to touch first, because he already knows the message has been sent. Number 4, sexual/innuendo play in conversation. There's a kind of conversation that isn't really about the words. A rhythm between two people that flirts beneath the surface of what's said. It's the kind of dialogue that doesn't just inform, it teases, it tests, it plays. And when a woman begins to speak to you in that language, she's inviting you into something far more intimate than small talk. It may start as banter, light, easy, almost childish in its innocence. But pay close attention, because the meaning isn't in the punchline. It's in the pause, the glance that follows, the tone that suddenly drops low, warm, suggestive. She might joke about being bad, or drop a line that dances on the edge of innuendo. She might say something like, "Don't tempt me," or "You're trouble, aren't you?" As if it's just a joke, as if it's harmless. But there's weight to it. A pulse, a dare. This is no accident. This is her testing the water, not with her feet, but with her words. See, for many women, verbal intimacy is the bridge between emotional connection and physical closeness. She's not just playing with you. She's playing with herself, too. She's testing how it feels to speak freely around you, how it feels to let her guard down, how it feels to drop a hint and see if you're strong enough to catch it without flinching. Because here's what she's really asking. Can you handle my desire without turning it into a performance? Can you meet my energy without trying to dominate it? Can you understand me without making me explain myself? And this is where most men fall into one of two traps. Some hear her jokes and retreat. They get nervous. They laugh awkwardly or change the subject. Why? Because it feels dangerous. Because they're afraid to be misunderstood. Because they don't know how to dance in that space without either escalating too fast or fumbling the moment. Others swing too hard in the opposite direction. They hear one flirtatious comment and launch into full-on seduction mode, overstepping, overtalking, making her feel like a switch was flipped and now they're trying something. Both responses kill the moment. But a stoic man, he does neither. He stays grounded. He smiles, not to chase, but to acknowledge. He teases back, not to impress, but to mirror. He keeps the dance going, never trying to lead it forcefully, but never refusing the invitation either. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. In other words, stay aligned with your truth. If you feel the tension, honor it. Don't fake coolness. Don't pretend you don't notice. But don't leap ahead, either. Stay in step. Because the moment you treat her innuendo with presence rather than performance, when you respond with charm instead of charge, you become someone rare. Someone who sees through the veil without tearing it off. And that's what makes her open up even more. Because now, she feels safe being playful. She feels seen, not just as a friend or companion, but as a woman, a sensual being, a person who wants to be met, not managed. It might happen during a drive, late at night, where the city fades into background noise and the conversation turns unexpectedly personal. It might happen after a shared drink, where she tells you a story with just enough detail to paint a picture and watches how you react. It might be subtle, a low tone, "What would you do if we were alone right now?" slipped into a quiet moment. These aren't confessions, they're offerings. And your response is everything. If you act shocked, you break the trust. If you act entitled, you break the intimacy. But if you hold the tension, if you let it hang, let it breathe, respond without needing to impress, you invite more. This is the paradox of intimacy. When you don't force it, you deepen it. When you don't rush toward the fire, you let it build. Women who are interested in something more, especially something physical, will often send signals through their speech long before they ever touch you. Why? Because words feel safer. Because jokes offer cover. Because if you react poorly, she can always say, "I was just kidding." But when you respond with emotional intelligence, when you read between the lines without pushing past them, you give her the most attractive experience of all. The freedom to explore her own desire without fear of being judged or mishandled. And that freedom, that safety, that's what unlocks everything. So when she says something flirty, risque, or suggestive, pause. Let the silence stretch a second longer. Look her in the eyes, not with hunger, but with warmth. Let her know you're here. You're present. You're not afraid of the heat she's testing. Because when her words dance, and you don't step on her rhythm, she starts to trust that maybe, just maybe, you're the one who can handle her fire. And that's when the real closeness begins. Not just physical, but emotional. Not just a night, but a memory. So listen carefully, not just to what she says, but to what she dares to say when she's around you. Because in those moments, those sly smiles and teasing remarks and sentences that trail off like questions, she's not trying to seduce you. She's trying to see if you can meet her where she already is. Number 5, she reacts strongly to your physical presence. There's a kind of truth that escapes the lips before the mind has time to censor it. Not through words, but through the body. Breathing that shortens, posture that straightens, skin that glows slightly warmer under low light. These are not the things she plans. They're the things she can't help. Because when a woman is truly drawn to you, when her desire starts to rise, not just emotionally but physically, her body responds in ways that betray even her best efforts to stay composed. And if you're paying attention, you'll feel it. You won't need to guess or assume. You'll see the evidence in how the energy in the room changes the moment you lean in. You'll notice how the air thickens, how her voice slows, how the tension, sweet and electric, grows between your presence and hers like a current waiting to be touched. It's subtle, but it's not invisible. You sit down next to her, and her legs shift to face you, not away. You move slightly closer, and she doesn't flinch, she softens. You lower your voice, and her breath hitches just enough for you to wonder, did she feel that too? This is not coincidence. This is alignment. The human body doesn't lie. No matter how guarded someone is mentally, the body always reveals what the heart is trying to process. And a woman who is feeling desire, real, rising, intimate desire, will begin to mirror your presence with her own, unconsciously. According to psychological research on nonverbal communication from Stanford University, attraction shows up most clearly in mirroring, orienting, and self-soothing gestures. That means she'll subtly mimic your posture. She'll lean in when you lean in. She'll brush her hair behind her ear. She might fidget with jewelry, touch her neck, or adjust her outfit. All signs of nervous energy trying to find somewhere to go. But what she's really saying is, I'm aware of you. I feel you. I'm open to you being closer. And here's the part many men overlook. This doesn't happen in the obvious moments. It often shows up in the quiet ones. In the pause after a joke. In the silence between conversations. In the moment, you shift slightly toward her, and she doesn't pull back, but tilts her chin, parts her lips, holds your gaze. That's not acting. That's response. Her body is tuning into yours, testing it, welcoming it. But none of this is loud. None of this demands. It's invitation by atmosphere. It's seduction by stillness. And only a man who has mastered his own emotional regulation can truly read it. Epictetus once wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That couldn't be more true here. Because when you notice her reacting to your presence, when she begins to change without knowing she has, you're standing at the edge of a moment that could turn into something unforgettable. But how you respond will determine whether it deepens or disappears. If you overreact, if you call it out, joke about it, or lean in too hard, you break the spell. You make the sacred feel awkward. You shift the energy from shared to taken. But if you remain present, if you let the silence hold, if you maintain eye contact with a calm, grounded energy, then something beautiful happens. She begins to relax into her desire. She feels safe in the connection. She knows she's not being watched or preyed upon, but understood. That kind of understanding is magnetic. It's the difference between a man who waits for a signal and a man who feels it before it's even sent. Between a boy who rushes forward and a man who knows. Timing isn't about impatience, it's about awareness. So when you sit beside her and feel her shift closer, when her laughter becomes breathier, or her tone deepens, or her hands move without thinking, when her pupils dilate as you speak, or her knees touch yours and she doesn't move away, don't second guess it. But don't exploit it either. Let it breathe. You are not in a rush. You are not chasing approval. You are not trying to get somewhere. You are grounded. You are aware. You are present. And in your presence, she finds freedom. Freedom to lean in. Freedom to soften. Freedom to surrender to what her body already knows. This is the magic of true masculinity. Not domination, but direction. Not pressure, but presence. So the next time you walk into a room and feel her posture change, the next time you draw close and hear the shift in her breath, don't miss it. Don't speak too soon. Just notice. Because her body is telling a story she may not have the courage to say out loud. And if you're wise enough, still enough, and strong enough to listen, without rushing, without demanding, you'll unlock the kind of intimacy most men never even realized was available. Because the truth is, before she ever says a word, before she ever touches your hand, before she ever gives you permission with her voice, her body already knows. And now, so do you. Number 6, compliance with your lead without resistance. There comes a moment, after the glances have lingered, the words have played, the tension has thickened, when something quieter begins to happen. She stops resisting your presence, stops questioning the space between you, and instead, she begins to follow your lead. You suggest going somewhere else, and she agrees without hesitation. You stand, and she instinctively stands with you. You shift to a new rhythm, slower, closer, more personal, and she matches it without needing to ask why. She's not chasing. She's not controlling. She's sinking. This is one of the final, and most telling, signs that she's interested in something deeper, something physical, something that requires surrender. Because when a woman begins to mirror your movement, your tone, your pace, she's no longer operating from her mind. She's moving from a place of emotional alignment. And alignment, unlike attraction, is not about intensity. It's about flow. It's about ease. It's about that invisible understanding that says, I trust you enough to let you guide. That says, I want to see where this goes, and I feel safe enough to follow. This doesn't mean she's submissive. It means she's aware and willing. It means she doesn't need to control every detail of the interaction because your grounded presence already makes her feel held. This is what most men overlook. They look for yes or no answers, for signals that scream, for neon signs that say go now. But true feminine openness isn't loud. It's responsive. It's in the subtleties. How she agrees to a change of setting without resistance. How she walks beside you, not ahead or behind. How she mirrors your tone when you soften. How she accepts your invitation, not just verbally, but energetically. It's not what she says. It's how easily she enters your rhythm. And it doesn't happen by accident. It happens because, somewhere along the way, you showed her something rare, that you are not erratic, that you are not performative, that you are not leading from ego or urgency. You are leading from stillness. This is what Stoicism teaches us. A Stoic man doesn't push. He offers. He doesn't force. He invites. He doesn't seek to dominate. He seeks to move in truth. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. When you embody that energy, steady, calm, decisive, but never aggressive, a woman who's emotionally and physically drawn to you will begin to move in sync. She'll stop testing. Stop pulling away just to check your reaction. She'll relax into the current you've created and float with you. Think about it. You say, "Let's grab some air," and she doesn't ask questions. She grabs her jacket and joins you. You move to the couch, and she doesn't hesitate. She follows and sits close. You take her hand, and she doesn't just let you. She intertwines her fingers and holds tighter. This is the unspoken yes, the quiet nod, the body saying, "I'm here. I'm ready. I trust this." But again, this is not permission to leap forward. This is not the moment to assume or escalate blindly. It is the final checkpoint, a place to pause, to breathe, to look into her eyes and feel, with full clarity, whether the moment has fully ripened. Because sometimes she'll follow and still hesitate. She'll match your movement, but not your readiness. And that's okay, because the man who is truly grounded in himself doesn't need a moment to go further. He needs the moment to be true. So instead of asking yourself, "What does this mean?" ask, "Is she calm in this space with me?" Instead of wondering, "How far can I take this?" ask, "How present can I remain?" And if everything in her says yes, not just her movement, but her energy, her expression, her silence, then lean in, gently, respectfully, as one who has earned that closeness not through words or pressure, but through consistency, awareness, and emotional depth. Because here's the paradox. The woman who truly wants you to lead only opens to you after she knows you don't need to. She follows not because you pulled her forward, but because your stillness gave her the freedom to move at her own pace. She complies not because you dominated the moment, but because your presence made her feel safe in it. She says yes with her whole being, not because you chased approval, but because you already carry enough inner approval to not chase anything. This is the power of masculine energy in its most noble form. It doesn't ask, "What can I take?" It asks, "What can I hold without dropping?" And when she follows your lead, not with fear, not with confusion, but with comfort, you are no longer just some guy she likes. You are the man she wants to experience fully, not just emotionally, not just conversationally, but physically, spiritually, completely. So pay attention, not just to her touch or her words, but to her flow. And if her rhythm becomes yours, if her steps match your pace, if her choices reflect your calm, then you already know what she's saying, without saying anything at all. She's saying, "I trust you. I'm ready. Keep leading me where I already want to go." By now, you've probably realized something. This wasn't a list about seduction. It wasn't about technique, or tactics, or reading signals so you could win something. It was something far quieter than that. More subtle, more honest, more human. Because beneath every glance she holds, every moment she creates, every playful touch or mirrored step, lies a simple truth. She wants to be understood without having to explain herself. She wants to feel safe enough to explore her own desire. She wants to trust that when she opens, even a little, you won't rush in, won't take, won't turn that vulnerability into conquest. She's not just asking, "Do you see me?" She's asking, "Will you stay steady if I let myself be seen?" And the man who can answer yes to that, not with words, but with energy, with stillness, with presence, is the man who receives her yes without ever having to demand it. Because real intimacy is never taken. It's given, freely, softly, entirely. That's what most people don't understand. They think love or desire is a game of escalation, a ladder to climb, a prize to chase. But that's not how it works. Not in the real world. Not when a woman is truly opening herself to you. In truth, the journey toward intimacy doesn't begin with touch. It begins with restraint, with noticing, with listening, with choosing presence over performance, stillness over strategy, truth over urgency. And ironically, the moment you stop chasing her body is often the moment she trusts you with it. Because you're not desperate, you're discerning. You're not lost in fantasy. You're rooted in reality. You're not seeking validation. You already carry self-respect. That's the kind of man who makes her feel safe. That's the kind of man who can guide her into surrender, not because he demanded it, but because his presence made it possible. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "To love only what happens, what was destined. No greater harmony." This is the harmony of two people meeting in the middle. Not forced, not fast, but mutual, aligned, felt, real. So if you find yourself with a woman who lingers longer than usual, who carves out space just to be near you, who touches with care, speaks in riddles, breathes differently around you, notice, not with analysis, not with strategy, with awareness, with gratitude. Because those signals, those 6 quiet invitations, aren't something you earn by proving yourself. They come when you remember yourself, when you stand as the man you are meant to be. Calm, clear, capable, honest, grounded. The kind of man she doesn't have to explain herself to, because her body already knows you're listening. If this message stirred something in you, even just a little, if it helped you see yourself or the women in your life with more depth and clarity, take a quiet moment and reflect on what kind of man you're becoming. And if you want to walk deeper into that journey, you're not alone. This channel, Stoic Now, isn't about tricks. It's about truth. It's about presence. It's about reclaiming the inner strength modern men have forgotten they possess. So if that's the path you're walking, subscribe. Not for numbers, but for momentum, for quiet reminders, for a brotherhood of men who are learning to see clearly, live wisely, and love deeply. Leave a comment below. Share your story, your reflections, or simply say, "I'm on the path." No judgment, just presence. And if you're ever in doubt, ever unsure, ever caught between what your heart feels and what your mind fears, come back to this space. Let the silence teach you again, because the deepest truths are the ones you feel before you speak, and the most powerful answers are the ones you never had to ask for. Stay still, stay strong, stay stoic.